All right, guys, are you ready for Godzilla versus Kong?
All right.
I wasn't then, and I'm not now.
The movie synopsis reads as thus. Legends collide in Godzilla vs. Kong as these mythic adversaries meet in a spectacular battle for the ages, with the fate of the world hanging in the balance. Kong and his protectors undertake a perilous journey to find his true home, and with them is Jaya, a young orphan girl with whom he has formed a unique and powerful bond, who I will call Deafy McGee for the rest of the But they unexpectedly find themselves in the path of an enraged Godzilla, cutting a swath of destruction across the globe. The epic clash between the two titans, instigated by unseen forces, is only the beginning of the mystery that lies deep within the core of the Earth. The movie was directed by Adam Wingard. It stars Alexander Skarsgård, Millie Bobby Brown, Rebecca Hall, Brian Tyree Henry, Shun Oguri, and Eliza Gonzalez. Before we start, maybe you guys have already looked at this. What would you guess the tomato score is for this movie?
77.
Probably higher than my score. Mid-60s.
This shocked me. He's really close, 75. I can't believe it. So what do you guys think? Spoiler-free impressions of the movie.
Yeah, I liked it. It was like you came for the fight, you saw the fight, you got what you were looking for, I thought.
I fell asleep during the fight because action movies bore the shit out of me.
Well, it's not just about having, like, if they don't make you care enough about the characters, then the action is just noise.
And I definitely did.
But I cared about Kong. I liked him. Godzilla I didn't care about, but yeah, Kong.
I'll say this, my spoiler-free impressions. I did not like the movie. To me, this reminds me of a quote the wise James E. Cornett always uses, which is, for the kind of people that like this kind of shit, this is the kind of shit those people like. I think this movie, to me, it's almost like watching like a type of like fetish porn you're not into. Like it'd be like watching foot porn, and you're like, yeah, I guess there's sex, but these feet are getting in the way. I just don't care about these feet.
Recently, I've gotten really into old women eating pineapple.
But I think this kind of movie, like if you're one of those people that kaiju fights is your kink and it really does it for you, I think you'll like this movie. If you're not, I don't think this movie is going to win you over.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. So this point forward, I guess we'll talk about spoilers. God, I don't even know how to open this up. So I guess we'll just like kind of hit the points. So the film opens up now. Before he put it on, because he's like, "Oh, you want to watch this?" I was like, I was considering, because I had watched the like Godzilla movie they made several years ago, like 2014, I think. But then there was two in between. There was Kong Skull Island and there was Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I didn't watch either of those. But I was thinking about watching those before I watched this one. But after watching this one, I got to say I'm glad I didn't. But there were things they referenced in this movie that I'm like, oh, I guess they expected us to watch those other ones.
Yeah, I was kind of weird about that because I was like, yeah, I mean, what's the odds that there's going to be backstory that we really need?
Well, the movie starts off, so they have Kong on Skull Island, but they're like restricting him in this like one area under this like dome with like fake sunlight,
like the Truman Show dome.
And what they tell us is that if he gets outside of that, it's going to attract Godzilla.
Right, Godzilla's going to come.
And that's the part where like me and him were like, what? Like, I guess this must have been set up in like one of the movies before.
It doesn't
like,
make any sense.
Like Godzilla can just like know if there's another Titan on Earth, and he'll automatically go and try to fight him, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed like there was like a Highlander thing, because there was like they were talking about all these, or they showed all these fights.
Yeah.
Like this one was eliminated in this fight, so apparently they're just like destined to fight each other.
Yeah.
So eventually we find out that like there's a hollow Earth.
Right, there's like it's like a geode or something. There's a hollow spot in the middle of the Earth.
And that's where they think all these Titans came from. And like Alexander Skarsgård, like apparently his character had a brother, I guess, in the other movies, who tried to go there, but he was like crushed by the gravity. And so like this Spanish guy who I didn't, you probably couldn't tell he was going to end up being evil. He wasn't twirling his mustache enough. He like comes to him and he's like, "Oh, I have this craft that can fly there." So he's like, "Okay." So then he convinces the mother of the Daffy McGee that they need to take Kong to Antarctica, which is where the entry point to the Hollow Earth is, I guess.
Right, but we're skipping the point where like Godzilla attacked one of that guy's facilities,
Oh, yeah, you're right.
and then they're like, "Oh, maybe we can use King Kong to fight Godzilla." And then instead of just like shutting down the dome or whatever and letting, because Godzilla's going to be tracked there to fight him, they're like, "Okay, let's shut it down. Let's take King Kong out in the ocean." And then they end up fighting out in the ocean for no apparent reason.
Well, I don't think their initial idea was...
They didn't want to fight him.
Yeah, they didn't want him to fight. They wanted
Okay,
to...
so they were just trying to go straight to...
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were trying to get Kong there and hoping that Godzilla wouldn't attack
Okay,
him.
but then they have the fight.
Because they think if they get Godzilla to the source in Hollow Earth, that'll do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right, there's some like...
Or he'll lead
So
them to the source.
They've got this new ship, but King Kong, or Kong is supposed to lead them through the portal or something.
But yeah, I guess we should go back because you made a... So Brian Tyree Henry, he is the kind of African-American actor. He's like this like kind of conspiracy theorist guy.
Like that whole storyline
we'll
was
get
off by itself.
Yeah,
and it was like weird. It didn't fit in, and like I fell asleep before it came to fruition.
He worked for like Apex or whatever. He was like the
Right, he was a
mole.
janitor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was working. No, he wasn't. He was like an engineer, but he was like doing a podcast where he would reveal all their secrets and
Right.
everything.
I thought it was gross. Like he's trying to like download this information, and like the guy at the computer is like eating an apple, and like he makes it up he like gets that guy to leave, and then he picks up that guy's apple and takes a bite out of it. And I'm like, that's so fucking
this guy's
gross.
standards have not been placed.
But anyway, he gets that information, and then conveniently, like that's when Godzilla attacks, and like he notices like there was some weird like reactor at that place, and that's why Godzilla attacked it or whatever.
Well, they were making like. Well, they were making some weird creature that was supposed to be that Godzilla got his nuts in a twist. about
Yeah.
or
So
something.
Mecha.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
that's
don't know,
another thing we'll get
it's-
to. It's stupid, but
It sounds like we're stupid.
we might be. So anyway, they chain up King Kong on a big old aircraft carrier. Now, this is another thing I don't get. Was this really their only option? Because later on, when they get to Antarctica, they're like flying him in like a large hammock between helicopters. Like, is there no way they could have? And I know they maybe couldn't travel that far in helicopters, but could they not like take out like the world's biggest like jet or something?
But there's also some premise that like they were doing this with his consent. And they're like, okay.
Oh, yeah, 'cause
As long as the little girl was there, he would go along with it.
But the thing is like they know Godzilla's a risk, so wouldn't they want to stay out of the oceans?
Plus, they were able to track Godzilla in other scenes,
Yeah, they were,
so they should have been like, oh, okay, he's coming now.
Yeah.
but not until he gets close. And by the way, Godzilla, he's a fast swimmer because he goes all over like really
Yeah.
fast. But anyway, so they're on the boat. And I guess it's at that point we're introduced to the Spanish guy's daughter, who's also a real cunty poo, and this I thought was stupid too. So like this is also where we find out that Daffy McGee, the little girl, she's been sign languaging to Kong, and like he understands.
Oh, yeah.
Now they call the place on Kong or on Skull Island Kong Observatory. Now they're apparently not observing him very fucking much, or else they would have they didn't have a camera on him at the whole time. And they couldn't see that this little girl was signing and he was signing back. It's just really
apparently they
stupid.
spent a lot of time together. And then also, like, the mother's supposed to be, like, she's supposed to have knowledge of Kong and work with him a lot. And then there's, like, one point where she's, like, trying to get the daughter away from Kong because she's apparently scared. It's It's like you let your daughter out there alone with him like before. Like what's it just it didn't make sense.
So then Godzilla comes and they have a big fight across all these like aircraft carriers and
Right.
like I mean Godzilla he's just like snapping them in half and like they're nothing.
Yeah,
And-
Godzilla's upper handed. That one was so great that like he should have just killed.
Yeah, he
King
should have
Kong
just
right
won
there.
right there. But what's the other thing I didn't understand is so like they're like, whoa, let's like shut off all our engines and like we'll trick Godzilla into thinking we're all dead or something, and that
convoluted plan
works.
was that?
And it works. Like he could just use his eyes, but he doesn't. So like that part,
It's
I
like
did-
through psychic powers, he knows about this other shit you're doing in this facility across to the other side of the world.
so that part I really didn't understand at all. Like I really don't understand all of Godzilla's power sets. So then, yeah, they get to Antarctica. They have Kong like in the hammocks between the helicopter, and they get him there, and they convince him to go into the Hollow Earth thing. And so they go through there, and they go all the way to the other side, and there's this, big action thing where the plane, the craft they're in, like almost crashes or whatever, and then they're in this like fantasy place, this weird Hollow Earth place, and like he gets in a fight with like some weird like
Flying thing.
dinosaur type creature.
Yeah.
But pretty much the whole sequence ends up being pointless. Like the only thing that happens down there is he gets some like
Axe.
axe that he
axe,
can
yeah.
fight with. Like and it's like a whole bunch of stuff. And yeah, there's a couple of little fights and stuff. But it's like it just gives nothing to the plot. It's
Well,
just,
it does. They do get that like energy thing for the mecha, to like go off later.
Well, is that from the axe? Like I
No,
did-
not from the axe. They get like a little.
That's right around where I was falling asleep.
Oh, okay.
So the Spanish guy's daughter, like she has this like drone thing deployed, and it like takes a sample of the Earth right there, and apparently they somehow used it that transmitted a signal back to her father in that lab he's in, and that somehow, I guess, gives them the key to making Mechagodzilla.
I don't know how they were able to use that thing to make the Mechagodzilla like power on or whatever, because they were just saying it's at 40% power before, and they needed this to like boost up the power. But I don't know how they used it from all the way over there to get power over there.
I don't know. There's so many convoluted weird things. Plus, they were using like a skull from some other like Titan, and
Oh,
somehow
yeah.
the guy was like psychically linked to that, and they were using that
Yeah.
connection to the mecha thing.
Yeah.
And so this guy's like controlling it, and like every time he did something like fucked up, like the guy'd be like, like he was fucking like.
Yeah, he looked like he was
busted
coming.
a world-class nut in his pants, and it was just so weird.
Not only
then I fell asleep.
not only was that first time, but when you were asleep, like I think he did it like even more than that, where his like eyes were like rolling back of his head. It was really funny.
There's also like a weird cutscene with like the girl's mom, like she was in that cruiser or whatever, and they're having like turbulence or whatever, and like he cut to her and she was just like. You're like, and then it cuts away, and you're like, that just looked weird.
So the B story we haven't really got to is like Millie Bobby Brown, the Stranger Things girl. She and the kid from Deadpool 2. They meet up with. They find Brian Tyree Henry's character because like they find out that he like was buying a lot of bleach or something, and so and that's how they. I don't remember. That's how they track him, and like these characters are all like stupidly badly written characters you've seen in other movies, but like, so he's like this neurotic guy, and like they point out that he has like this fake like gun holster that's actually like a flask
whiskey
of
bottle.
whiskey.
Oh yeah,
And like I guess
he said like if I ever drink this, then I've given up. or
I think he's like
something.
a recovering alcoholic or something because his wife died or whatever, and yeah, he's like saves that on him, I guess. When boy, that'll come into play when you were asleep in the stupidest fucking way possible. Like I can't believe it.
I'm waiting.
So we're back to Hollow Earth, and yeah, Kong. Like his whole point there was he ended up getting like this big axe,
Yeah, he got an axe to fight.
which like absorbs power, I guess.
Right, that was basically his his answer to the nuclear breath of Godzilla. Like he
Yeah.
has an axe that'll absorb that power now.
Yeah, okay. Oh, actually, so let's go back to Millie Bobby Brown and that group. They end up accidentally, like, conveniently getting on this transport that, like, transports them, like, under the ocean and, like, all the way to Hong Kong. Where, again, conveniently, this is where evil Spanish guy has created Mechagodzilla. And, like, first, like, the guy's like, a Robo-Godzilla? And then the kid's like, no, Mechagodzilla. And I was like, oh, God, fuck this movie. And, yeah, like we were saying, it's somehow controlled by that other guy, Orgasm guy, with his mind.
Dude.
And so the stuff they're doing, that starts attracting Godzilla to Hong Kong. So he comes in and he starts wrecking shop. Now, this part, maybe you can explain it to me because I was very confused. Godzilla, it's like he can sense Kong in Hollow Earth, and he like uses his atomic breath and like drills a hole through the city of Hong Kong, like all the way down to Hollow Earth,
down
right
to
where
the Hollow.
Kong is.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't help you with that.
I was like, this makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, it didn't make any
I
sense.
missed
to
that,
me.
yeah.
Like they went all the way to Antarctica, went through that hole, went to Hollow Earth. He goes to this cave where he gets the axe, and then Godzilla's in Hong Kong. He literally uses his atomic breath, and it punches a hole in the earth, goes all the way exactly to where King Kong is.
Yeah.
And so Kong, there's like a fight down there between like these big like bat pterodactyl type creatures and like some of the people that were like in those crafts or whatever, and so Spanish guy's daughter ends up dying, and basically the good guys get out with Kong. So Kong comes up, and that's where he meets Godzilla again, and they start fighting, and the people in the craft are like driving, and they're like narrowly missing Godzilla and stuff like
Right.
that for an action scene. And so this is just action overload. You were probably maybe in a coma already at
Yeah,
this
I
point.
was out.
And yeah, they just start wrecking shop. They start, busting up the city and each other. And basically Godzilla, I think they kind of go back and forth, but eventually Godzilla gets the upper hand on Kong and like puts him down. And like he almost like kills him right there, but he like stops, and they like, for whatever reason, like they got this like mutual respect for each other, I guess. And he spares his life. Well, kind of, but Daphne McGee, the girl, she like puts her hand to the ground and she can tell that Kong's heartbeat is slowing, like he is going to die. So how do you think they get out of this one?
With the flask.
Not yet.
Good thinking, bro. I like that.
Not yet, but it's just as dumb. So they take that flying craft they had, they land it on King Kong's chest, and then they like set it to basically overload somehow, so it gives him like a defibrillator and wakes him back up. So in the meantime, I think this is where they finally unleash Mechagodzilla.
Yeah.
And I noticed like when Godzilla and Kong are fighting, it's like nighttime, and then all of a sudden when Mecha shows up, it's like daytime. It's like it just like changes on a dime. It seems like kind of like that Fast and the Furious fight with like
We're fighting at night. We're fighting in the day.
yeah, where it just like changes on a dime. And
Now it's raining.
so basically, Mecha and Godzilla are fighting, and Mecha's kind of getting the upper hand on him. And so this is the part I don't fucking understand. It's so stupid. And at some point, the orgasm guy, he took control of Mechagodzilla, and he killed the Spanish guy. He just like grabbed him or whatever.
Okay.
But like, okay, so the kid from Deadpool 2 is trying to stop Mechagodzilla, and like he's like, oh, there's a satellite that's somehow like helping control him or whatever. I just need to guess this password to this computer, but he can't guess it. He can't guess it. So the black guy's like, oh, we're doomed. I'm drinking my drink or whatever, and God, God, this is so dumb. It makes no sense. He takes the drink and he's like, wait, and he spills it on like the computer board and like, makes it smoke or whatever, and that somehow has an effect on Mechagodzilla. I don't know. To this fucking, I don't. Did you understand that at all?
I didn't get that either.
It made no fucking sense.
How come it didn't completely shut down Mecha? Like, I didn't get that either. Like, why do you keep going?
I have no fucking clue. Oh, and also at like one time, I think Orgasm Guy like dies.
Yeah.
But like,
I think like maybe I phased into consciousness for that. I thought like the psychic power of like the skull like killed him and then like took control or something.
something like that, yeah. So Mechagodzilla is just acting on its own accord now.
Right,
Or
it's
something.
whatever that Titan was that has a skull on it.
Yeah, was he the one controlling everything?
That's the thing I didn't know. Was like the soul of the guy went into it, or did the soul of the Titan go into it? I couldn't figure that out. But yeah, dumping the whiskey on the computer somehow helped turn the tide. But then, so then of course Kong, are I think, like Daffy McGee and Kong have a heart to heart, and she like convinces him that Godzilla is not the enemy, so he actually teams up with Godzilla to beat Mechagodzilla. And like at one time he has Godzilla like charge up his hammer, because it absorbs that power. And I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, and then at the end they,
Square up. Like
they kind of, they like have that mutual respect for one another. And then like the movie ends, we find out that Kong, they brought him back to Hollow Earth, and that's now where like the Kong quote unquote observatory is, where they don't really watch him all that much.
So it's pretty hilarious that like this whole like side character with the conspiracy theorists and the kids, like they use that thing for the whole thing where it was basically pointless for him to like pour a flask on a computer.
Yeah.
To make zero fucking sense.
And it wasn't him that poured it either. It was the Deadpool kid. He like took it away from him so he wouldn't. And then
You're a genius.
Is anybody else?
and he said something like that. I don't remember what it was fucking stupid.
Like, are you guys not concerned with the fact that like these two little kids ran away from home and met this stranger?
Right, this is just And also they're like how they came together was weird.
Yeah.
She had some intuition or something. I don't know. It didn't make sense. So many things didn't make sense.
Yeah, I felt like that was so weird. I mean, I like Dave. I like the whole, I like him. As an actor. I like the kids as actors. But that
I've
whole
seen
story,
that one, the bigger kid. He's been pretty good in a couple things.
Yeah.
Also, the Stranger Things girl. Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. So they're good actors. It's just kind of a strange story right there.
Yeah, none of it. I'm not really blaming any of it on the actors. I just think this movie is like stupidly written.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
It's basically just like, we know the people that like these movies like the action. We don't really care about the plot. Just somehow get them from point A to point B and get them fighting.
Yeah, I was about to skip through the beginning of the movie, but I was like, you know what? I mean, maybe it matters to this movie to watch it, but at the end, no, it doesn't really. Just watch the fight.
But yeah, like the group with the kids, like it was just convenience after convenience. Like they just happened to, track down the guy, and then they just happen. He knows
happened
where
to have
the
access. to
he's got
everything.
access to that
They
place.
happen to be
And
in the
even-
right place at the right time to get on the transport.
Yeah.
And then right when they get there, they're doing a test with the Mechagodzilla, so they discover all that stuff.
Right.
And then for a long time, they're just walking around in that facility, and they discover like all the thing that controls the Mechagodzilla, and they'll finally, someone notices them, and then Spanish guy's right there to explain everything.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was just all of that was just exposition trying to tell us what's going on the other side, but it was just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess if you just are someone who can really like action, this movie's probably for you. But if you want anything deeper, I cannot recommend this movie. So what would your final score be for the 2/3 of the movie you saw?
I'm like at a 4.
Yeah, I think I would go like 3, just for the effort of all the animators.
Yeah, I mean, the huge thing for the graphic department. So you can definitely tell they spent a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
What about you? I know you liked it more than we did.
I'd give it a 5 and a 5.5 out of 10. Yeah, because I
So
mean,
still not like super duper high.
yeah, but it's good enough to watch if you just shut down your brain and just watch the action scenes. It's just like Pacific Rim. You watch that movie just to see the kaiju's and the robots fighting.
That's another movie I tried just because I like Del Toro, and he directed it. And still, I found that movie pretty mediocre. And
I don't really remember much from it. I remember watching it and not being like over the top.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty bad.
Actually, the one thing I remember about that movie is it was like a really bad like theater experience because this bitch behind me talked the whole movie. It was like she was on her couch at home and she was just like commentated over the whole thing. It was like, oh, look how he walks. Or it's like, oh, here comes the love interest. I was like, God, man, shut your lady up, guy.
Well, who knows? Maybe he was on a first date and suffering just like you were.
Maybe. First and last.
But yeah, I don't know. It's I have a threshold for action movies. I can shut down my brain and just enjoy the stupid of it. Yeah.
I fall asleep during so many of them. It's like it just keeps going. It's like action, action, action. I'm just like my brain shuts off and I fall asleep. I fall asleep.
I'm kind of like that with war movies where it just has that background of like guns going off constantly, and something about that just puts me to sleep.
I mean, some war movies have great stories that I can get into, but yeah, something about just pure action where they don't have like a good story behind it. Just
I kind of
ironically the most boring thing there is for me.
I felt that way about the Aquaman movie too, because I watched that, and it's like you get to the end of that movie and it's like there's all this stuff going on, but I kind of gave so little of a shit about the characters that I'm just like, yeah, okay. I was just bored by
Yeah,
it.
it's just a fight.
It's just visual noise,
Yeah.
It's kind of why like I don't really watch Michael Bay movies because that's his
they're the
thing.
worst.
Yeah,
They're the worst. I
I don't know how people watch those
I can't do
Transformer
them.
movies.
Yeah, I can't watch those. But Michael Bay's especially obnoxious.
he's famous for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everything's exploding.
Yeah, it's all style, no substance.
Yeah.
But makes good money.
Oh yeah, the guy makes tons, and his movies make tons.
Yeah.
So you can definitely see why they keep going with it.
I remember one time, like, I think Sony or somebody hired him to do, like, a commentary, like, over one of his movies, and he was just like, I can't do this, and he just walked off stage.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, I don't remember what it was exactly, but yeah, like he just got like flustered or something and like
Yeah.
couldn't do it, and he just like left.
Yeah, it was weird.
Did either of you watch Ninja Turtles?
No, I heard.
Oh god, you
It's
know
one of
what?
those things, just like
I did.
you loved it in your childhood, and even though those movies are terrible, you really want it to be good.
I watched Secret of the Ooze so many times. I think I poured a year of my life into that movie.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I watched those movies a lot too.
I know we did.
I mean, Ninja Turtles is actually my first obsession. Like, I watched the cartoon constantly. I watched those movies all the time, and so yeah, I do have an affection for those characters. But yeah, I did finally watch at least the first one of those. I didn't watch the second one, and yeah, it's terrible.
I mean, they could reboot that right now with different writers and different director, and probably be awesome.
Well, the current IDW comic book series is great.
Yeah,
It's probably the best Ninja Turtles thing out there.
like I've read a couple of those you had. Yeah, so
So maybe eventually, like I always like, I would like them to do a Gargoyles movie, off of the cartoon.
yeah.
But I have no confidence that they wouldn't just give it to a Michael Bay type person and just do the same thing with it.
yeah, that would be. I mean, you definitely have some choices to make if you're going to do that. So I don't know.
All right, guys, you guys got anything else to add to this show before we wrap things up?
I'm good.
I thought it was funny in the movie where the Daffy McGee girl, she says coward to that guy.
Oh,
And then later on, he's like, we're all cowards.
Yeah.
That was kind of funny because he was trying to say they were brave. But yeah, other than that, that's my last touch on the movie. Everything's good.